Camera speed.
Speeding camera.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Serge.
My name is James. I really need
You knock yourself out
bottle
with this
opener.
bottle opener.
It's fucking awful, mate. Hold on. You talk to the people.
About what? Because there's nothing to talk about from an FPL point of view, is there? Another horrid weekend. Everybody was hoping for a recovery after game week 8. But I don't think we should be surprised after international breaks. They're not notoriously the best game weeks, are they? You've got a bit of rotation, bit of injuries, people picking up knocks.
I don't know. There's probably a myth, I think. I know City have notoriously had a monster record of battering teams quite often on the other side of international breaks.
For me, I scored 26 points in game week 5. I'm sitting on 27 points in game week 9, so I've not particularly done well after international breaks. So I wonder what the average was in game week 5. Let's have a look. 52, that's not too bad. I think we'll end up...
What was the average in game week 8?
36.
And what's the current average with one game to go?
30.
30. So he'll probably top that tonight. All it will need is a Lundstram or Aubameyang return.
Yes.
Which we already know because I've kept saying it. Sheffield United will beat Arsenal 1-0 tonight. We realise you already know the score, but at the time of recording, we don't. We're recording before it. The last game week I heard was the lowest scoring average since 2017. And yet this week might beat that.
Wow. What do we make of it?
It's just a freak occurrence, mate. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it isn't. I do think there's more to it, though. I do think FPL is getting harder.
Okay, go on.
Well, the level of rotation is increasing, and the unpredictability introduced by VAR and refereeing is also adding a certain level of unpredictability to it.
I don't want to get into VAR because we just did a whole podcast on it this morning.
Well, this is my segue to plug that podcast.
All right, well, I've just done it. But I don't think we think that VAR is having an overall effect on the league table, do we?
No, I don't think so. But it's definitely having an effect on FPL.
VAR is not the reason why Man United and Spurs are shit, for example.
No, but if certain decisions had gone the right way, FPL points would be very different.
Yeah, if Delafeu had got a penalty, we'd have one less point, right? So
true.
Swings about
for the league table, I'm saying, but I'm talking about from an FPL point of view. Take the Mane, say the Origi foul for Rashford's goal. If that had not been given, and we're talking about a clean sheet there, then suddenly Trent's up to 6 points, Robbo's up to even more, 12 points. That's a very big difference for owners.
People going on about the Mane handball might not have been spotted, so he chalked him off the goal. Then he got given the very late penalty against Leicester the week before. So VAR for me is not influencing FPL other than there are less penalties at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think it would be slightly different had VAR. Certain goals could have been given, not have been given. I'm not 100% sure. That's all I'm saying. But this also was a weekend where a lot of people hitting the bar and post, like Tammy Abraham hitting the flipping woodwork. Kevin De Bruyne hit the flipping woodwork and stuff like that. You know, these marginal calls seem to be dropping the wrong way at the moment.
Heung-min Son, another one.
Yeah, so annoying. So I look at my team, and like I said in the earlier pods, so do listen back to the people's poll. I don't feel like I've made that many bad decisions this season in FPL. It's just the way the cookie's crumbling is not quite as I would like. I looked through my game week history. Like this week's current game week rank is 4 million. That will go up because I have both Lundstram and Aubameyang. Last week, 4.9 million. I haven't had a single game week rank inside 1.5 million other than game week 1. And that's consistently rubbish.
At the time of recording, the only person in the Planet FPL correspondent mini league who has more than 45 points is my wife.
Well, yeah. FPL Terrier, Mark.
And she's still got Ayoze Perez in her team. She left Sigurdsson in her team.
The differential team didn't do badly, did it?
No, the differential teams had a couple of good weeks because there's only differentials returning at the moment.
Yeah.
There is I've heard some people talking about this idea that we're all getting fucked together because we're all on kind of a similar Twitter template, if you will. And the first part of that is quietly, not everybody's having bad weeks, right? I mean, anybody who pre-Sheffield United Arsenal is on a score of 40 plus, actually it's a good week. Don't be looking at it and going, it's a bad score. No. Like, you know, worry about what your game week rank is in comparison to others. I think, was it Tom Campbell always says 15% above the average or something?
Yeah.
It's kind of his mantra. So the average currently is 30. You need to be on, what's that, 34? Is that about right?
15%. Yeah, about that. 35.
Yeah, 34, 35. I'm going to finish on 36. So I'm probably going to be just below that. But if Aubameyang or Lundstram haven't returned tonight, then I'm probably going to finish slightly above the average. That'll do. It's all right. I would look at it more and go, I've had 2 shit weeks. And I haven't dropped rank unless one of those 2 players I've mentioned goes and does the business tonight.
Yeah.
And even still, all right, a couple of 30 plus scores in a row and to only lose maybe even 100 or 200k. All right, fine. You know what's going to happen soon?
Tell me.
We're all going to hit like 70, 80 together.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be right back in the mood straight away.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just it's a very strange coincidence that we've had 2 weeks like this happen together in a row.
Either side of an international break makes it a bit weirder.
We just feel it feels longer. It feels like you haven't had a good. It feels like you haven't had a. By the time next week comes around, it will feel like you haven't had it. For the majority of people, it feel like you probably haven't had a good game week.
I actually like the fact that there's another game week up so soon. We've got transfers to make, and I feel like I can make my decisions around my transfers, which I kind of sort of already have, barring disasters in the Champions League fixtures. So I like the fact that we can pick up the pace again for a little while, and then we've got another international break. But
do you know transfer wise what you're thinking?
Yes.
Go on.
I need to get Kevin De Bruyne back into my side, despite him not returning. He coulda, shoulda, woulda. That flipping price rise has made it even more awkward for me. But I actually have a very clear and simple way now. Mahrez to Kevin De Bruyne leaves me £5.3 million. John Stones coming off the bench and being the only fit centre-back at Manchester City makes him my replacement for Otamendi, when originally it would have been Tierney. Had Tierney played today, I can't afford Tierney now. So Kevin De Bruyne for Mahrez, John Stones for Otamendi. 2 very boring moves because it's City for City.
Stones for Otamendi.
Yes. I can't afford Kevin De Bruyne without making a move. So
I'd like to just cover Otamendi briefly because he did have a knock at the weekend. I suppose he had a back injury and trained yesterday on Sunday. So City play Tuesday night in the Champions League. He might be back in the team.
Sure, but I only have 5.3 million.
Pep said that Rodri didn't have a single minute of training at centre half. There was an issue and he trusted him to go in there.
Yeah.
And they did all right, the 2 of them.
Yeah, I've not got a problem with that, but I've only got 5.3 million, so I need to make a move somewhere.
I think it was a major.
Stones will do.
We can talk about it a bit more. I think it was a major rick for Palace not to get Benteke on earlier and try and go a bit more direct and try and cause a bit of chaos.
Yeah,
but they did all right. It could just be that Otamendi was injured at the weekend and he'll be back next weekend.
It could,
and in which case, you know, when you pick that kind of player, I'm in the same thing. You got him in on the wild card. Not this week, the week before. I got him in the week before that. You know when you get this kind of player in, and particularly if they're at City and they're not one of the big hitters like a De Bruyne, then you're going to have to suffer this. Kyle Walker didn't play at the weekend. Zinchenko didn't play. Micah Richards, you told me he's an FPL expert. See the 3 Man City players he's got?
Did.
Aguero, Mahrez and Otamendi.
I've seen a dozen people with that.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
You're unlucky. There's nothing more in it.
Look, but I only have 5. It doesn't change the fact that I only have 5.3 million. So if I got rid of Otamendi, so I have to make a 0.3 saving somewhere. Otamendi to Stones is the one that I want to make. I don't feel like.
But are you not just potentially changing one rotation risk for another? And I think Otamendi's.
I think Stones will play.
I think Otamendi's got favouritism over Stones. Personally,
I don't know. Based on the fact that Stones came off the bench and what Pep was saying, I don't agree. But
the only thing that concerned me a little bit, and it's kind of more insightful in terms of if you watch the game, was Fernandinho went back to the right sided of centre half. Whereas he's been playing left of Otamendi when they've been playing together. Now, that leads me to think there's a possibility that Rodri and Fernandinho may continue together. I saw a brilliant stat today on Gundogan. So Gundogan started 6 of the 9 games City have played so far. The 3 games he didn't start, they won 5-0, 4-0 and 8-0. I think it's probably a little bit coincidental, but I mean they can afford to play Gundogan in that position as it's not so much a sitter, but the deepest line of that midfielder in games like that. I mean, if they play like that at Anfield, they get absolutely murdered, but they won't.
No. You know, I haven't set my heart on that move yet. I've got other potential moves I could make. I'm also not averse to taking a hit or two this week in much the same way that you are not. However, I will not be doing anything until after the Champions League games, because any injury or knock or what have you, like the players that I want to get in play for teams that have got Champions League football. So I'm not looking at it until after Wednesday for certain. Do you have any thoughts in your mind about what you want to do?
Yeah, I thought strongly about wildcarding on Saturday night, honestly, kind of out of nowhere. Because there's bits in the squad that I'm really unhappy with, but the bigger picture is I'm very happy with 7 of my 11, I would say. And I think that's enough for me not to feel like I should be firing things, particularly with 2 free transfers in hand as well. So I might take a -8 this week to fire out the 4 that I'm unhappy with, which is Kane, Pukki, Otamendi and Heaton. I'm only particularly unhappy with Heaton because they're about to walk into a dirty run.
Yeah.
Otamendi, I'd only really want to move on because I want to get a different City asset at the moment. I'm not too bothered about the rotation. I think he's probably still first choice at the moment. So David Silva, I see lots, is certainly under consideration. Bernardo Silva as well. And for me, Aguero, I see a lot of people saying on Twitter, what do we do with him? Can't sell him. Of course you can't sell him. They've got Southampton and Villa at home. I'm thinking of buying him. Pukki, I want to move on, but doesn't feel critical. Kane has to go.
Kane's done?
Yeah, has to go. I mean, I said last week, even if he scored 5 at the weekend, I would still sold him.
And he didn't, did he?
I have no idea in terms of moves where I'm going. I could, from Kane, I could go to 4 completely different price points legitimately. I could, if I sell Otamendi, I might go to like a 4.5 and go Aguero. I might go down to Vardy, but oddly enough, the more I think about it, I'm being put off a little bit on Vardy. The fact that they have got 2 away games, and so's Kane. I'm not sure what I'm immediately gaining on that, other than being able to spread funds better. Also considering obviously sort of Jimenez's value, and also Connolly. I honestly might go Kane to Connolly and then wait and assess. I like Brighton's next 2 games: Everton at home, Norwich at home.
It's interesting. We'll talk about Brighton because we're going to run down the games as we do. I really want a Brighton asset in my team because they're playing so well. I just don't know which one at the moment. So I'm in that kind of limbo. I want the team, but I don't know which player from the team that I want. So we'll talk about them. Should we run down the games as we do, week in, week out?
We can.
Early kickoff. Do you want to talk about it?
Don't you?
Well, obviously not.
Well, you have to fill me in, Suj, because I was making my way to Spurs. I only caught the last half hour.
Yeah. I thank you for spending 85 minutes of that game 1-0 down to Watford, because I did feel like Spurs are doing us a favour, making us feel good about ourselves after that performance. I hate saying I told you so, but I called it. It's one of those games where Everton, we knew were going to be up for it. They had to get a result. We needed to come out fighting. We didn't set up right for it, and they just overran us, and we didn't adapt quick enough. I thought Richarlison was really good, very aggressive. When he's in that mood, he's in your face. And then Gomez and Tom Davies were very good. I think Gomez irritated me. I thought he fouled a lot in the first 20 minutes, but that's what they needed, right? They needed someone to get in and about and give a kick and get the team going. We didn't adapt or react to it. That was the most frustrating thing. And then it just carried on that way. We couldn't string 3 or 4 passes together. Haller was isolated. and Everton played with pace and aggression and created chances and should have won 3 or 4 really.
Can I ask you one question on West Ham?
Yes.
And we'll do this in a bit more detail on Tottenham tomorrow. But you tweeted about an hour before kickoff.
Did I? I don't even remember what I tweet these days. Go on.
I'll pull the exact tweet out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
I was nervous.
Yeah, and you said this is the sort of game, in quote, this is the sort of game that West Ham don't turn up for.
Yeah.
What is that, mate?
Early kickoff after the international break. Had a decent run leading up to it. So Everton were on the downer. So thinking, you know what, we can just turn up and roll them over. It's that mindset of we're better than they are, which I believe we have the better team than them. And we can just do them over. And there was no fight. We set up as a 4-1-4-1. So Rice was the only holding midfielder and he got overrun. They didn't then think, do you know what, let's switch to having Noble and Rice side by side. And to be honest, I would have switched to a 3, Snodgrass, Noble and Rice, just to match up with Everton physically and putting the challenges
So importantly, why were you getting overrun in that area? Because it wouldn't see...
I don't know.
Like, from what I've seen of the game back, Gomez and Davis played far more progressively than, say, Delph and Schneiderlin do, or even... I don't know about Gabamin yet, but I think he's had a setback on the injury, so he's out for a while. But Davis and Gomez are heads up. They want to play forward is their first instinct.
Yep.
But they're not the sort of guys who really get into, say, Rice's area to cause problem. They're not really two midfield players that really break into the box as such.
No.
So I know Iwobi played in that position. Was it a case of Richarlison dropping back into that area as well?
No, I think they were bypassing Rice, to be honest with you.
What, just going straight to Richarlison?
Running down the channels, yeah.
Because Walcott apparently played well.
He
had like 7 shots or something.
He did all right. I'm not jumping on the Theo Walcott as redeemed brigade, but he did all right.
Let me tell you right now, if Theo Walcott scores in the next 5 games, he still ain't an FPL option.
No. I think we were sloppy and then we just lost the ball. We didn't string more than 3 or 4 passes together. Haller was completely isolated. If someone's not close to him, then, like I said, he's just a French Andy Carroll. You know what I mean? Just hoof the ball up to him. He'll give as good as he gets physically. But yeah, and it was just... It's hard to judge our performance because we didn't play any football. We didn't get the chance to play football.
It's just credit to Everton, is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. 100%. They were at it from minute 1. But if we'd have tried to play football and the end product wasn't there or what have you, then I could understand it. But we never strung more than 4 or 5 passes together. We didn't get into the final third. We didn't have any set pieces. I don't know what our corner and free kick count was, but I remember maybe 3 free kicks in and around the box, maybe 2 corners. And Everton and Marco Silva concede goals from set pieces. So, yeah, stupid. But with that in mind, I wouldn't be put off anyone who owns Yarmolenko or Haller with the next 2 home games against Sheffield United and Newcastle. I own Yarmolenko. I can't see how I can sell him before those 2 games.
I'm strongly thinking about going to Roberto from Heaton.
That's a brave move, man. He made a couple of good saves, but he also was at fault for the goal.
He should have done better with the Bernard goal. Although
100%. How that got through, I have no idea.
Well, yeah, but he's also made a number of saves in the game as well.
He has.
In fairness,
he has. He made a few good saves as well.
And I think your next 2 home games are against
Sheffield United and Newcastle. So
probably the 2 poorest offensive sides in the league, I would say. You can look at your XG tables, etc. Newcastle and Sheffield United will show up at the bottom of it.
Yep.
So I don't know. Is that a wise choice, Suj, to consider Roberto 4.4?
Why not Gazaniga?
I'll tell you that in a minute.
Okay. I don't know.
Gazaniga's not an option.
Okay.
If you'd have asked me this time last week, I was thinking about it. You know,
I know you were.
Yeah, and I've seen him play
He's
again.
not for me.
And I remember
not
that.
For me. Find the money to just get someone that set and forget for a little while in Pope or Ryan or whoever.
Isn't he set and forget for a while?
But you're going to be picking up 1s and 2s and 3s. You're not going to be getting that many clean sheets off of him, in my opinion.
I don't know. Are the fixtures that bad when I look at West Ham for a while, just from a defensive aspect? Sheffield United, Newcastle, Burnley away. We know, but we're never really too sure what we're going to get from Burnley from an attacking output. Spurs at home, you know you're going to turn up for it. Chelsea away, Wolves away. If you counter attack, can be frustrating for them. Arsenal at home doesn't hold fear, and then Southampton away, and then you have the blank, which is probably when I'm going to wild card. Is it that bad from a defensive aspect?
No. Look, yeah.
I think on paper it looks worse than it is.
Yeah. I mean, look, he made 9 saves at the weekend. That's a lot of saves. In a poor performance. I don't know if he'll be making it. And he picked up a BPS as well.
I don't really want him to make saves. I want him to pick me up 2 6s in a row. Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the front two in front of him, Diop and Ogbonna, are pretty decent. So let's talk about Everton. I reckon Everton are going to lose their next 2 games. Because they go away to Brighton and they've got you guys. I just think that...
We haven't won away from home for about 2 years, mate.
Marco Silva made 5 changes, right, to the starting lineup, and he changed the way that they were set up, and they've got the result.
He didn't really. He changed. It was the personnel. They still played the same way.
Yeah, sure.
Well, they set up the same way.
I can see him. I can see him thinking, "Look, we got the result. Now let me go back to what I know." I feel like he's going to revert back to the team and the players that he had 2 weeks ago.
So you wouldn't see Walcott staying in the team, or Iwobi at 10, or Richarlison.
I feel like he's
front.
a stubborn manager who will go back to what he thinks is right, and I think I could easily see them.
I don't know. Isn't that a big call to be leaving Sigurdsson out and stuff like that? I know he's been underperforming.
But then he's going to bring Sigurdsson back. What I was saying is bring Sigurdsson back in.
You can see when he came on, the first thing he does, he has a shot on target. The second thing he does, he sends, was it Diop or Ogbonna? We sent the fella for a fucking hot dog and then buried it.
It was your friend, Jack.
Was it Wilshere? He done over?
Yeah, it was your friend Jack. And then
why am I not surprised?
He put it in the top
It's obviously
corner.
very easy, by the way, to
tackle.
get Ogbonna and Jack Wilshere mixed up.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I want to see a little bit more from him. I want to see a little bit more. Interesting. Maximum bonus points to Sidibe. Is he going to keep his place ahead of Coleman? He's 5.3 now.
He's certainly a threat for Coleman. I don't think you'd look at Sidibe. I don't think you'd really invest in Everton. Richarlison's ownership at sort of under 7%, if he's going to go back out of position, might appeal to some. It would be a 4-week punt, I think, with Brighton away, Spurs at home, Southampton away, Norwich at home. You would anticipate goals in there. However, Everton's away form is so shocking. We're talking about this. Everton were more T-Rex at the weekend. They are just Rex away from home.
Yeah.
And then they have a very merry Christmas with Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal in a row before Boxing Day. So I don't think you're going back for Everton now. They've let down a lot of people, really, in my opinion. Well, no more than themselves, obviously.
Yeah.
But for FPL owners, I think they've let down a lot. Luka Dean at 33 points is not bad, but probably not what owners would have been hoping for from that sustained run of games, I think.
No. Let's talk about Villa Brighton. Aston Villa ended up winning 2-1 in the end. A game that has to be, you have to say, turned on Aaron Moy's red card, sadly. Even our Brighton correspondent, FPL Seagull, who was there, Sam, was just saying how well they were playing until it happened.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, do follow Sam at FPL Seagull on Twitter if you don't already, because he tweets some sensible stuff about Brighton. And they're a club that we should all be looking at for assets because their performances from day one have been decent. If that red card hadn't happened, I don't think necessarily they would have gone and lost the game in the way that they did.
They still could have nicked it, even with the 10. I think Morpay had a real decent chance towards the end of the game at 1-1. They still had a go, still tried to play their football. I'm probably as impressed with them as I have been with any other side in the league so far this season.
Agreed. And I had them down to get relegated just because I didn't know enough about the manager.
Yeah, it's just because of how much they've changed. So the point of view, like, I would look forward to watching them now. I've watched them live twice now. I really enjoyed them at Newcastle. It just didn't have the end product. I can't say I enjoyed them playing against Spurs, but I think the rest of the country would have. And it feels like it's coming, and there's little things like this setback with the red card, which is he got a stupid first booking, Moy, and then he's got no arguments on the second yellow. But there's little things getting in the way and stopping them from progressing to being well clear of trouble. For me, there's no way they will go down. They've got good quality, and I think of the sides that are going to be probably in the bottom 8, which I think they still will be because they're not showing the consistency to move out of that period. and they're about to walk into a dog run of fixtures as well. But honestly, there really are players we can consider here. Ryan's gone up to 4.7 now. You know, we talked about Luka Dean, 33 points. Ryan's on 38. Dunk is on more, 34 points. 4.6 going to go up to 4.7 soon. And then there are a host of players. Dale Stevens is a really solid pick for that kind of third sub. 4.5, sit there if you're going to have four midfielders. Pascal Gross, 6.4, looks like he's coming back to form. Solly March, 4.9, keep an eye on. He's kind of had injury problems, but when he's in the side, he offers a good alternative to, say, Cantwell owners, for example.
For sure.
Trossard, 5.8, we think is their best player. He's been absent for 5 game weeks or so.
When he comes back, he's the one to keep an eye on, for sure.
And the two boys up front, Morpay at 6 million. Feels like he's just so under the radar. 31 points so far. And I think he's a good one to consider for people looking to come off Pookie. Connolly is, for me, I don't like the word essential, but if you're going to go with 2 up front, Connolly's essential. Like, forget all that Greenwood, Wickham shit and all that.
Yep.
This fella is probably going to stay in that team, I think, at 4.5 million. With Andoni and Lacadia gone, Murray's legs going, I can't see if Brighton continue to play with sort of 2 up front like they did again at the weekend. Obviously, he got sacrificed at half-time when they went down to 10 men. But he looks like he's going to stay in the team at the moment. And that's why I'm part tempted. The off-putter is what's coming next, but it flips. If you want an immediate return on something, I strongly would advise to have a look at Brighton. Everton at home, we've already just said, they're wrecks away from home, they're useless, and then Norwich at home, that's their next 2. In terms of home fixtures in this league, it doesn't actually get that much better than that at the moment. There will be returns, I think, for Connolly, Morpay particularly in these games.
I agree with you on
the
these guys.
problem is after that, United away, Leicester at home, Liverpool away, Arsenal away.
Yeah, not great fixtures.
That's why I like Connolly as well, in terms of, that might seem mad, Kane to Connolly, but it allows me the value to fund and I'm happy to play him at the moment.
Yeah.
And then when they walk into that run, then I can leave him back out again.
Let's talk about a certain Jack Grealish. He was one of the players that was announced early. You know, when before the game opened, they started doing the price drops at 6 million. And he was probably considered a bit expensive at 6 million. He's now 5.9. 4 attacking returns in the last 4. You'd say he's playing further forward and with more attacking intent now than McGinn, who was the original golden boy at Aston Villa, who's maybe dropped a little bit deeper. Playing with real freedom. Got a striker ahead of him who's a foil in Wesley. He's got beautiful hair. I'm just thinking about what other asset, like what does Jack Grealish need to do to start getting considered as a real differential? The only downside I can see
Fixtures
is, okay, obviously the fixtures. At that price point at 5.9, he's up against Hudson-Odoi, who's 6 million. Yarmolenko is at 5.9 at the moment. McGinn is at 5.8. But he's got the least ownership out of a lot of these at 4.2%. The fixtures are bad, but if he performs against Liverpool and City, and then they've got Wolves away and then Newcastle at home, a couple of other tough fixtures, but come game week 16, they've got a decent run. I'm thinking Jack Grealish is not a bad shout, you know?
I think it's one to come back to. You're very right to highlight him, Suj, because there's been a change since the Burnley home game in game week 7. A change of system. I was looking at comments that Dean Smith made at the weekend saying that he's almost had to coax Grealish into wanting to play this more advanced position, because he's now picking up areas, particularly sort of drifting leftish, where he can pick up that position very similarly to kind of what Maddison and Mount do, where he's harder to pick up. I've described him in the past as someone he plays to his beat and his tempo.
Yeah.
But what an advantage to Villa to have him playing in a more advanced position. I think Hurahan back in the team really assists with that. And you're right in terms of it's possibly having a negative impact on John McGinn, which is important for people who own John McGinn, who's obviously the more owned of the two. Grealish now has a point more than McGinn. McGinn owned 12.9%. Grealish owned by 4.2%. However, I'm afraid to say that we don't have
Now's
to
not the
bullshit
time.
about it. It's Man City away this weekend, and it's Liverpool at home the weekend after.
Yeah, now is not the time, but
you're not buying him now.
no. The other thing from Aston Villa, we all love a fullback in FPL, an attacking fullback, and now two at less than 4.5 million have cropped up in Gilbert and Target. Gilbert's got 2 assists in the last 3. Target's returned in the last couple as well. They've both had price drops. They were both ones to keep an eye on pre-season, and both didn't start the season either, and now have. I've had Gilbert since the start in Sky, and I was even considering moving away from him, but I'm not going to be now. A tidy 9 points in that game this week. 2 to consider again there, but it's just timing for Villa with the fixtures, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I particularly like Target for FPL of the 2. But yeah, you're not now. I don't see why you would, because there's every chance as well with that run of fixtures that they might even be losing value between now and when you possibly want to look again, which I think it's around about game week 17. Sheffield United away, and then Southampton at home, Norwich at home, Watford away. There's a nice period there over the Christmas period for those. So for those who are thinking of wildcarding, possibly like what my intention is around about game week 18. Yeah, we go back and look at these guys. All 4 of the guys that we've kind of mentioned. I think we can pin that down to Grealish, McGinn, and the 2 full. I'll definitely go to 2 fullbacks over, say, Mings, Engels. I think they've got that on lockdown as well now. Hurahan at 5.7 is a little bit cheaper than the other guys. He's very capable, Hurahan. He obviously had the goal disallowed by VAR at the weekend. I'm just not sure with this tougher run of fixtures as well, whether he'll stay in and about that team. They might well go with sort of Nakamba and Douglas Luiz and tying it up a bit.
Next game, because we've got a ton to still get through. We do go on a bit, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Bournemouth 0,
The
Norwich 0.
detail's always really good at the start, and it dies off.
We start
Next game.
Quick, we've got to keep it under 90 minutes. Bournemouth 0, Norwich 0, because they're defensively both so poor that there'll be tons of goals in this.
I mean, it's that kind of erupted on Friday, doesn't it? Oh, neither of these 2 have kept a clean sheet yet. It's fucking inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah. Both Tom and I, Tom from Who Got the Assist with the armband, and Wilson alongside a bunch of other people, got around slap in the face there. Pookie owners now jumping ship potentially.
Unfortunately, Bournemouth fall into a category for me, and I don't see it changing anytime soon, where if you want a Callum Wilson in your team, fuck these fixtures, fuck even looking at them, honestly. Because they're so unpredictable. They have been for years now. Nobody who captained Callum Wilson at the weekend did wrong. Everything statistically pointed towards him being the best choice. If I hadn't have had Kane and had Callum Wilson, I probably would have captained him at the weekend. But it's not a surprise either.
No. They had chances.
So did Norwich.
Yeah. Pookie had a shot. Wilson playing in Solanke.
Norwich got better the longer it went on. And interestingly, the one I wanted to point out was obviously that Anel Hernandez is back fit. That might have an impact on Cantwell. I don't know if that's positive or negative yet, because Cantwell actually might move in centrally, because Stiepermann didn't play at the weekend. I don't know the impact on that yet. FPL_Badger and a few of the other guys, the Norwich guys on Twitter, will know more about that than me if that's likely to happen. There is an effect probably about to have on Cantwell, and it could go either way. Hernandez will bring Norwich something they kind of lack, which is real out-and-out pace. It's a different weapon. It'll be a weapon for them in away games, actually.
Possibly, yep. Let's move on to Chelsea, Newcastle. Golonzo's back. Golonzo is back. Still not a consideration for FPL. Still very expensive.
I saw an image floating about on Twitter just before we come in. I don't know if it's very recent, but Willy Caballero was swinging off the crossbar, and so he hangs off the crossbar and puts his feet against the post, so it creates like a square in the top corner.
Okay.
Like top bin. Alonso takes the free kick, just smashes it straight in.
Okay, fair play. I thought you were saying in the game. I was like, Kepa was.
No.
What are you talking about?
I think
here?
it was Willy Caballero in the video.
Okay.
It could be a very old video, in fairness.
Sure.
But it's just a reminder of what
What he
Marcos
can do.
Alonso is capable.
3
And
returns in 5 games.
yeah, look, if he's going to continue playing games, he's going to keep getting returns. That's how it is with him. I would not be investing now. I think it's a little bit late, personally.
Kepa had to make a grand total of 0 saves in that game. Goes to show kind of how.
Well, I say it's a bit late. I just mean that with the perspective that Emerson's back fit, and we don't really know what's going to happen, do we? No idea.
No.
I feel like Lampard's will stick with the guys who's doing well for him. I didn't see. I mean, they weren't troubled defensively at all at the weekend, so there's every chance he'll stay in. But also Champions League. And I don't know if Alonso now is up to potentially doing League, Champions League. So he's the sort of player you're going to suffer with if you own, I think. So, I mean, if you knew he'd play every week, if Emerson was out for 2-3 months, you'd get him in.
Yep.
No doubt.
Let's talk about Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, needs talking about.
2.5 games, and he's returned in all of them.
You make it sound like a monster run, mate.
Well, he's played last game, got an assist and a clean sheet. Played the game before, got an assist. Came on for 27 minutes, got an assist.
Yep.
Priced at 6 million, was started the season at 6 million. Quite a few of us have made money on Mason Mount. We spoke last week, and you said Mason Mount's still the better option and the one to go to.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to stay that way for long. There's quite a bit of money in it. 0.7 gets me a lot moving from Mason Mount to Hudson-Odoi.
There's every possibility that either this weekend or next weekend I'll be bringing Hudson-Odoi into my squad. I think that's possibly becoming an inevitability that I'm going to end up with all 3 of these Chelsea guys.
Abraham
and
Mount
I think
and,
it goes back to what we were talking about with Ted on Clash of the Correspondents last Thursday at Rotation FPL about the value in those 3 guys is not going to come round again.
No.
And that is still seriously good value. Is only a smidgen that's putting me off with Hudson-Odoi because he was outstanding at the weekend. He still hasn't scored a Premier League goal, you know.
Yet.
But I don't know. Does that become a psychological thing? I mean, Mount didn't have a great game by all accounts at the weekend. But in terms of actual chances, he still comes closer to scoring than Hudson-Odoi did.
He did, yeah. His shots, that one shot that I do particularly remember was decent. I don't know.
Created by Hudson-Odoi, admittedly.
Yeah,
he created quite a few. I don't know. You're also not going to get teams that probably will sit off and allow him to do his business and get in his face like Newcastle kind of did at the weekend. I do want him in. I'm just a little cautious that not even 1 goal yet.
Yeah.
It's 3 assists. I mean, you would be happy with that. If I could get him in, you could tell me, I'll have an assist off him every week.
Week
I
in,
would,
week out.
I would take that.
If he picks up an assist and a clean sheet like he did this weekend, and then you get a bit of BPS as well, you're happy with that. 9 points is plenty good. £6 million. I mean, would I rather him than Maddison?
Yes.
Heung-min Son?
Yes.
Exactly. So now I've got 2 players in my midfield at 7.1 and 9.7 that I'm thinking, I might downgrade Son. That frees me up a hell of a lot of money that can get me from Aubameyang to possibly even Aguero or something along those lines. There's money to be made here. A lot of cheaper options emerging that makes it almost difficult to say which premiums you're going to keep. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if there's a reason why we should have a fear about this. 2.4% owned. I just feel like Burnley away this weekend. I don't feel I'm desperate to force that right now. That's how I feel. But I might even, as part of a kind of a mini wildcard overhaul, I might just get it done because I think
he will go up in value again and again and again because his ownership's so low.
And plus, he's going to be in the media. By the time the next England squad comes in rounds, as long as he maintains fitness, he'll be back in it. He'll be threatening to be in that team. Him, Mount and Abraham are still all brilliant targets. Another one, if you captain Tammy Abraham at the weekend, you were desperately unlucky.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even blank as such. I mean, he's missed one open goal where Yedlin's appeared on him from nowhere, didn't even see him. He thinks he's scored. Good in the air from a couple of set pieces as well, Abraham, that he headed over. So he was in and around it. I think that's all you want. He's not going to show... he's not going to have the consistency to be compared with sort of Aubameyangs, Kanes, Aguero's. He will do exactly what you need, though, I think, at
Just
that
could be a little bit more explosive, potentially.
He'll have days. I don't know if people will rush back to captain him so much if you consider that's now Newcastle and Brighton at home with blanks.
5 out of 9 blanks, if you look at it. You can spin statistics any way you want, but he's blanked more than he hasn't. Admittedly, one of those games he came on as a sub. But it's a stupid stat for me to chuck out because that makes it sound like I'm saying he's not a good option. And he clearly is.
There might be something in the fact that he scored six of his 8 goals away from home. Perhaps with a little bit more space, possibly. Maybe not so much back to goal. There might be something in that. I mean, if you look at the teams he's scored against, 2 against Norwich, 2 against Sheffield United, 3 against Wolves, and then 1 against Southampton. I kind of highlighted that after the Sheffield United game. Was there a concern against some of the quality of the opposition he was scoring against? But he still offers an amazing value. He offers you a shield now as well because of his insane ownership. And in spite of blanking at the weekend, it's continually going up. He'll be, by the time we speak again, he'll be over 45% ownership.
Let's talk about Leicester 2, Burnley 1. A game that, in some respects, has been overshadowed by VAR because of the Wood disallowed goal.
Not talking about VAR.
Well,
why do you want to talk about it?
Could have ended up being a 2-2. Could have ended up being a 2-2. But Leicester keep marching on, 3rd in the table. Are they going to win the league?
No, they're not going to win the league. There's only 2 teams
Liverpool
can win this
drop
league.
Points, mate.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Just on Burnley briefly, Chris Wood now 4-4.
Yeah.
Blink and it'll be Jay Rodriguez next.
Yeah.
It'll keep changing, unfortunately, with Burnley.
Still 1.4% ownership and still 6.2
decent
million.
run of fixtures for Burnley. They're kind of still in it. Chelsea at home this weekend and Sheffield United, West Ham, Watford, Palace.
You can see him picking up a couple of goals in those easily, 2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't feel like any of us are looking at Burnley at the moment.
No.
Particularly. I'm waiting for Charlie Taylor to get back in the team as one I've got my eye on, 'cause I think it's 4.2 now. For Pope owners, you're probably more than happy at the moment. I think for me looking at trying to replace Heaton, I don't know if I'm looking too far into it to look beyond Pope. Even though it's a little bit more. I'm going to be moving different pieces, so I probably will be able to afford it. I don't know if I'm just trying to be too clever, just not going for Pope.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
McNeil's looking like a real player. I think he's the type of player that I wouldn't mind if West Ham put some money up and bought.
And it's the same price as Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Yes, he's not an FPL asset, but he's looking like a decent player. I wouldn't mind him in the squad at West Ham.
Should he be an FPL asset? At
4 assists
34 points?
4 assists in 9 games at 6 million. I'd hope for a little bit more. A couple of attacking, 2 or 3 attacking returns.
I don't know. At that value, it's kind of an assist nearly every other.
Yeah.
I don't know what people expect. When you buy a player at like 6 million or so, I don't know what people expect. It was the argument I kept making about Richarlison last year, wasn't it? I think it was 6.5-ish or something, wasn't he? And people kept getting the because he was playing out of position, not skying. I'm like, what do you expect? What do you particularly want from someone at this value? He's not going to be your main figurehead. He's not the kind of guy that you should be really sticking the captaincy on.
No.
But I think a few did and had a good return when they beat Brighton in the autumn time last year.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, you can't make a case for McNeil over Hudson-Odoi,
no.
I'm afraid.
Vardy's gone up to 9 million now. He's popped over that 12.7% ownership. And he's purring along nicely, 54 points so far. 6 goals and an assist already this season.
Yeah, I'm kind of caught.
You're off. You're not sold completely because of the away fixtures.
Well, I just look at the next 4. Southampton away, Palace away, Brighton away, with Arsenal at home as the 3rd. Now, he's capable of scoring in all 4 of them. He's also capable of possibly blanking in all of them. Those 3 away games... I mean, Southampton aren't great defensively. But I don't know, Palace away, Brighton away. I'm not sure. I know that I want Vardy between now and I mean, they walk into a difficult run of fixtures, game week 18, City and Liverpool in a row, when essentially I can then fire off him if I want to. So I don't know if is it another one a little bit like Pope? Am I overthinking not just diving in on Jamie Vardy. I think that come Friday night, I think he'll probably be in my squad.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm just a little put off. I think it's because of Kane as well. If I just compare the two games, Vardy's got Southampton away, Palace away, and I know I want to sell Kane, and obviously it's Liverpool away this weekend. He has an incredible record against Everton, who he plays the week after. He didn't play against Everton at White Hart Lane last game of the season because he was injured. But I think in the previous 4, he'd got braces in all of them against them. He does like playing against them. And then when Vardy plays Arsenal in game week 12, Kane's at home to Sheffield United. But then I'm going to fucking captain Kane again. I don't want to do that anymore.
No.
It's not good for my health. I think I probably will end up going for Jamie Vardy. We've got Anoop at Foxy FPL on Clash of the Correspondents on Thursday.
Yes.
And I know he was at the game on Saturday.
Yeah, he
and
put
I
out
kind
a
of wanna,
really good thread. I don't know if you read it.
Yeah, I have retweeted the thread, yeah. There's a few others I want to ask him are kind of under the radar. Obviously,
Harvey Barnes.
Harvey Barnes, 2 assists at the weekend, 5.9. See,
Tielemans scored
I'd probably
at the
rather
weekend.
go him than say McNeil. But then
Of course, yeah.
But then is it wasting a Leicester spot? I feel like attacking wise, I still just want to get involved in Vardy with them rather than cut a corner and go Maddison. I think you can still make cases for Pereira, Syunchu, and Chilwell defensively.
Yep. You mentioned Harry Kane when we were
And
talking about
Schmeichel,
Harry
by the
Kane.
way.
Let's talk about Harry Kane. Let's talk about Spurs 1, Watford 1.
What you want to talk about, Princess?
Why is it so shit?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I thought you'd come back fighting.
Well, I mean, this was
Going down in 6 minutes is obviously...
This was a major improvement on Brighton. I nearly threw a house party, mate.
The performance was a major improvement.
No, it fucking wasn't.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it was an improvement on Brighton because, trust me, it couldn't hit the depths of Brighton again. This was awful, mate.
Well, Glenn
It was
Hoddle
shite.
on BT or whatever said that first half was the worst he'd seen Spurs play ever. And I thought to myself at the time,
he did-
James said that Brighton was the
No.
worst that he'd ever seen Spurs.
No,
so
he
that
didn't-
must
he-
be something.
Yeah, no, he didn't watch the Brighton game, obviously.
Okay, so Brighton was worse than that first half.
It was, yes, but then you've got to factor in the opposition as well, and I think we've already said good things about Brighton, etc.
Could have gone in half-time 2-0.
I'll talk about
anyway.
this more tomorrow.
Okay.
Brighton should have won Watford should have won the game, despite having less than 30% possession, I think, because when they did counter-attack, every time they did, I thought they were going to score.
Really?
And that's a bad sign of where we are currently.
Defensively inept?
Oddly enough, on massively. Like Sanchez got hooked at half time, was terrible. Could have hooked Toby or Vertonghen. He played a back 5, which I know most people weren't in agreement with, but essentially it's not a back 5. It's a back 3 with centre halves stepping out to like the final sort of 25 yards of the pitch and leaving one back because you're in so much domination of the ball. There's huge problems at centre half, full back areas, and midfield. And because of that, where we do have good quality up front, it's just not getting any surface, right?
Yeah.
So there's a multitude of problems which will deal a little bit more tomorrow on Tottenham. But what will say on Spurs is, if you do own Spurs FPL assets, fire them the fuck out your team and don't get them back.
Heung-min Son out.
Yeah, just sell.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That answers
He's
that.
the one where you might want to come back and look at it. Like
Yeah.
he's a good one. Say like when we play Sheffield United at home and Liverpool play City on the same day, it might be a good one to do a 1 week punt, like a Sterling to Son and go back, something like that kind of thing. If it's going to do something for you. Sterling probably won't score at Anfield. I don't think he has scored at Anfield since he left there. It's just an example. Son's the one you can go back to if you want to fire in and out of Spurs Son. But until... I was thinking about this in terms of my mistake of captaining Kane. Now, it's not a mistake captaining Kane in a fixture like that, because I think if you've got him, you've got to. Otherwise, what's the point in having him? And that's why I'm now getting rid. But thinking about it more in hindsight, and this is a good FPL lesson, this. I myself had no idea, not a clue how Spurs were going to line up at the weekend. So therefore, I think I was making an error of judgment in terms of captaining, because I didn't know if he was going to play with Son, play with Lucas, play 4-2-3-1, 3 at the back. I didn't have a clue. I knew that he'd play. And for me, with Kane, a lot of the time, that's all that particularly matters. But I think I learned a lesson there in knowing that if I don't have the confidence to know how a football team's going to set up, I shouldn't be putting my captaincy on a player from that football team. And that's a lesson that I've learned. And therefore, because Spurs keep changing system so regularly at the moment, their players are an absolute no-own. It is a no-own zone.
Watford,
like no-own zone.
Anything interesting?
Yeah.
Just leave them be.
Yeah, no. Positive signs on a serious for Watford because they obviously got the goal early, which didn't particularly... It was so early in the game, you can't say it come against the run of play or anything like that. Now, they've gone back to a back five, and this was very much a back five. Hollybass and Janmat supported on occasion. I mean, Janmat had an unbelievable chance at 1-0. Just couldn't sort his feet out to get a shot away. They're going to be much, much better defensively now under Flores. I'm absolutely convinced about that. They've gone back to a system that he likes, that worked very well in the Dini and Igalo season. And actually, they've got a run of games, home games coming up. Bournemouth, Chelsea, Burnley at home, Palace at home. They will keep some clean sheets in those fixtures, honestly.
Okay, interesting to
much
to
better.
consider.
You wouldn't go and invest in them, footballers-wise. Just a shout-out as well, I'm talking about... budget midfielders, if you want to look for one. Nathaniel Chalobah is a very talented footballer, has had terrible luck with injuries since he moved from Chelsea to Watford. Was solid and tidy at the weekend, 0.2% owned, 4.4 million. If you're on your wild card and want a sticker midfielder in at that value, he's probably not the worst choice, actually. Doucouré is a very good player. He's got the box-to-box energy that Spurs just don't have at the moment. I'm not saying we should buy him because I think we should be thinking bigger, but he's a good footballer, Doucouré. I do like him. And Welbeck, Danny Welbeck, lasted fucking 60 seconds, didn't he, before he did his hamstring.
Ouch.
But then I don't know why they didn't start with Deulofeu in the first place. When they're going to come and try and counter-attack like that, Deulofeu's a weapon. Him and Pereira is very interesting that we saw them so much last year playing kind of this 4-2-2 system, where on occasion you'd have Deulofeu right, Pereira left, and they played as essentially centre forwards at the weekend. Really, really interesting one to keep an eye on. You wouldn't invest in Watford, but what I would say is I wouldn't be targeting captaining players against them in the coming weeks. They will improve.
No. Wolves 1, Southampton 1. A couple of players that probably are the ones that are worth talking about because they're the ones that scored the goals. From a Wolves point of view, Jimenez, who our friend Manchild loves, for those that watch Power on Netflix will know the Jimenez cartel, scored still at 7.1, still relatively low ownership, less than 10%, but now started to warm up. That was his third goal of the season. Still one eye on him. I don't know if I can make the move to Jimenez yet, but he's still there cropping up. Danny Ings, though, 4 goals in 6 starts, 3 in a row, 5.9 million, which puts him in a very attractive price bracket of less than 6 million, which there aren't many other strikers, if any, that you could consider, unless you drop to 4.5. The first choice there when he's fit, I would say Danny Ings. Dings for you?
No, fuck all that shit, man. Danny Ings. Very interestingly,
2%
when the majority of us who were a little bit, well, I'd say slow, the majority of us are moved for Pookie after the Newcastle hat-trick. You know, if you'd have bought Danny Ings the same week, you'd have more FPL points at the moment.
Oh, good stat. I like that one.
Forgive me, I did see that on Twitter earlier. I can't.
No, of course, everything we do on the show is stolen, mate.
I can't. If I could give credit to the person I saw sent that tweet out, I'd give credit to Mark. Sorry, I can't
Twitter.
remember.
Just go to that search box.
It's just something I saw on my fucking timeline.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming the stat as my own, is my point. Yeah, 42 points now for Danny Ings, 5.9. Our other guest on Clash of the Correspondents this week is Ali at FPL Gaffer. So we'll be talking Southampton with him on Thursday. And I'm interested in this run following, obviously got Leicester Friday night and then Man City away. And then there really is an interesting run up until sort of game week 18 when they go to Villa, and then they've got a really shitty kind of Boxing Day, New Year's period. The problem with Danny Ings is, in my opinion, is he's never more than one sprint away from an injury.
True.
And that just plays on my mind. 2% owned, though, is mad, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
5.9 price with a bucket load of FPL points so far. 42 is no bad going. And that's from only 6 starts as well.
Yeah, he only scored 7 goals last year, so he's nearly caught up.
I guess importantly, he's had 3 back-to-back 80-plus minute stints and scored in all of them, which include, obviously, 3 difficult fixtures: Tottenham away, Chelsea at home, and Wolves away. He's been gifted a couple of those goals this season, as we've already brought up. But yeah, I don't know. And he's in a value range, Danny Ings, kind of him and Maupay, where there's no investment at the moment. Nobody's looking to buy players at that kind of 6 million forward bracket. Everyone's above it in that sort of Jimenez, Pukki up to kind of Wilson area. So yeah, Danny Ings is under the radar. I don't think timing's right now, but I'm really interested to speak to Ali on Thursday and see if he thinks he's the standout. Just the other one on Southampton, James Ward-Prowse, our old friend, was a lot more advanced at the weekend. One to possibly keep an eye on as well. The other side of this City game.
Expensive though is James Ward-Prowse. He's in that Hudson-Odoi bracket as well.
Yeah, but you know that he'll have a run at some point this season where he scores 3 and 4.
Yeah, and he's on set pieces, like he's taking the free kicks and stuff, Ward-Prowse. That's one big plus for him. And, you know, that old romance of JWP, always have one eye on him. Crystal Palace 0, Man City 2.
Before you do, just one thing I wanted to say on Wolves.
Say it.
Was about Jesus Vallejo Lazaro, the Wolves centre-half, 4.8 million in FPL. No, this isn't an advice to get him. Saiss has a knock at the moment, and Ryan Bennett picked up an injury at the weekend as well. Now, I don't know if either are serious, but this fella, according to Bradley, our Wolves correspondent, Park_Bradley, is so fucking bad, it is going to cause Wolves some problems.
I've got a question from the Twitter questions about that. So let's come back to him.
Okay. I haven't even seen them. Go on.
Nah. City 2, Palace 0. I mean, it's pretty much what we expected, right? A dogged Palace. 90 seconds of City brilliance to break them down. But other than that, it was a tough game for City.
This game really upset me. Do you know why this game really upset me?
Why?
Because I watched the game having just watched the same game 2 hours earlier and just watched one team do it a lot fucking better than the other.
Breaking down another side. Yeah. And David Silva now 4 double-digit returns. So that he's the only City player to have done that this season. He scored 51 points and he's 7.6 million. Cheap as chips.
Yeah. He's a great shout, David Silva, particularly with the 2 coming up. I think. Really? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a great shout for these next couple. I mean, you'd probably like to see him get a Champions League rest, for example. He's such a brilliant footballer. Plus, as well, I've said this before about when I owned him for a little bit last year. You will enjoy having him in your side
100%.
When he plays because he's such a beautiful player to watch. The idea of him and De Bruyne in the same FPL team's quite sexy, I think.
Well, you're looking at ending up with what? Sterling, De Bruyne and David Silva? Or would you be looking to move one of Sterling and De Bruyne on?
If I decide to sell Otamendi, I don't think I can look up the idea of these 2 home games. And I'll just take Liverpool and Man City for what it will be. Like, it will fuck me. But then the last 2 game weeks have fucked most of us. So what does it matter, right?
Yep.
And I think I had 5 of them when they played each other the other year, and it was 4-3, and it ended up pretty decent for me. Yeah, if I sell Otamendi, I wouldn't rule out going for Ederson, which is a very unlike thing for me to do, but I'm just tired of the rotation. And I know there's going to be clean sheets for them. I know they'll get it right. But yes, De Bruyne, Sterling, plus David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Aguero are all under consideration for me. Not Mahrez.
He's the only one that's not. He's going to be going for my team this week.
I think it's way too frustrating. I think it was a bad pick. I'll tell you why I'm considering Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
This is honestly true. I feel like it's been a while.
Since he's returned?
Yeah, I mean, he got an assist at the weekend. But I feel like it's him next. And you've got to get on it before that happens.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, he's another brilliant footballer. His manipulation of a footballer is so good.
Almost half his returns have come in one game. He scored 41 points and 19 of them have come in one game.
Yep, I get that. I realise that. Assist at Norwich, assist at Palace at the weekends, and a goal against Brighton in a cameo. He's always getting some return there. Bernardo Silva obviously didn't play game week 1. I think if City pick their best team, it's Bernardo rather than Mahrez. I think that's probably my point. I believe still.
It depends how they set up, but you know.
Interesting comments from Guardiola in terms of why Aguero didn't play at the weekend, which is I think is what's part causing this little bit of fear about people. Is that he said that he wanted to play more of a pressing game, and that's why Jesus played. And that got me thinking about this idea of whether we might begin to see something, considering Aguero was left out at Everton as well. Whether we might start to get to the point here that Aguero plays in home games and Jesus plays in away games.
Maybe.
They've got 2 home games coming up, City.
Yeah, maybe.
I really might fire him in and captain him twice and then sell him back out.
Maybe. Worth a consideration. Manchester United 1, Liverpool 1. Let's talk about that game before we do a few Twitter questions before we wrap up. We will be wrapping up with the Sheffield United and Arsenal lineups, I think, because they'll be coming out at 7. Did you see Klopp yesterday? I don't know if you would have. I was driving back down from Derby. I went to Derby at the weekend. Derby. And he announced he broke the team before it was supposed to go out. So
Who did?
Klopp did. So he was on a radio interview with 5 Live, and it was 3:26 or something like that. So 4 minutes to go until the teams are announced. And the journo asked him, I don't know, some question. He goes, "Yeah, when you see that team from Manchester United with Rashford and Pereira and so on and so on, so be it. But you know, we're not playing with Salah." And the lady was like, "Well, you've just broken the rules and announced the team more than an hour, but so be it. It's only 3 minutes to go."
So apparently they hung Salah's shirt up in the dressing room.
Yeah. All of these mind games.
I don't know what that's not positive, is it? Surely the Liverpool players,
I don't know, mate.
Don't the Liverpool players walk in the dressing room and just remind it, oh yeah, shit, our best player's not playing. I don't know. It's a bit. I mean, you can argue whether he is or he isn't, but he's certainly one of their most important players. And although he invariably doesn't return in fixtures like this, and I think he probably wouldn't have yesterday.
They missed his pace.
Of course, they missed him. I think it had a very negative impact, ironically, on Mane actually missing his mate. Because I think they knew then the only pacing behind really was Mane. If Origi got away, you'd let it go. Sometimes with Liverpool City, you got to accept certain things, like Norwich did in that game with City. I think like you'd accept Origi, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
He's a good player. I really like him. I think he's a willing worker. I actually probably wouldn't have taken him off. I think they could have left him on in a wide position when they switched to a flatter 4 in midfield. But it's no Salah, is he?
No.
And there's a big drop off. I've said this many times about Liverpool in terms of obviously massive that Alisson's back. But if Salah and Mane were out for a while, like it's a massive headache. Look at it from City's perspective. Lost Sane for 4 months or so. No one mentions it.
No.
If they were to lose Mahrez or Bernardo Silva, it would be, although we wouldn't wish it, would be a blessing for FPL because then you knew which one you could pick. With Liverpool, you got Shaqiri and Origi, and in fairness to both of them, particularly at points last season, actually, they both did all right when they were called upon. But this is different level.
What do you make of Manchester United? So you've got Marcus Rashford here, scored again.
Yep.
8.4 million, 47 points on the season. So you've got Jamie Vardy at 9 million. He's only on 54 points. So there's 7 points between them. But there's a good £0.6 million saving. I always have been, and will be a Marcus Rashford fan. I like the fact that he's got pace, and I like the fact that he can finish. And he works really well for that goal. And I get that it's not the most popular opinion, but I like Marcus Rashford. I don't see a way of getting him into my FPL team, but I do like Marcus Rashford. And you've now got Martial coming in off the bench, so hopefully you'd think that he's fit to start the next game. 7.5 million. Rashford's ownership's down to 3.1%. Bonkers.
No, it's not.
Martial, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking about Martial and jumped to Rashford. 3.1% on Martial. Rashford's at 10.
Yeah.
Still low.
Well, we're just waiting for that 9.9, aren't we?
He's still low.
We dedefinitely look at him for the differential team if he dips below because of the 5 fixtures coming up.
I thought United were right, you know. I don't know if I can't say I was watching the game with like real focus. It was on in the background. I thought United were right.
I've covered this several times with United now, so apologies for those who've heard it before and I might be repeating myself. United are at their best when they can counter-attack on someone because of the speed in that team at the moment.
Correct.
I think massive credit has to go to Solskjaer yesterday for the way he set the team up. And it's not just a setup, because when I saw it, I thought it would very much be a back 5, and it was. But Young and Wan-Bissaka at the right times did advance. A shout out for Andreas Pereira, I thought was excellent. I was very critical of him, particularly after the Southampton game, saying, what does he do? I'm still not sure what he does, but he played very well yesterday. When United obviously beat Chelsea opening day, and you can see everything positive with them on the counter, it's no coincidence that they've now played Chelsea at home, Leicester at home, Arsenal at home, Liverpool at home. They haven't lost.
Yep.
8 points. Great. I think you'd off. How many points they got overall? 10?
I'm not sure.
I've got 8 from them 4.
Yeah,
It's not
true.
bad, is it?
No.
All right. It's probably not where Man United fans want to be. 2 wins and 2 draws from 4 of the toughest home games they'll have all season. But I think there's something in this. And obviously, Rashford has scored, I think, 4 goals in those 4 fixtures as well.
Yeah.
So there's something in that. When everybody kind of then dived onto United before the Chelsea game, then there was the draw at Wolves, and then everybody dived back off after they lost to Palace, and then Martial was injured and all that. The kind of advice that people were saying is go and look back after they play Liverpool. So they now walk into 5 fixtures, which I think we'd all kind of highlighted going back to game week 3. Right, stay off them, and we'll look again walking into this. Norwich away, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, Sheffield United away, Villa at home. I'm not interested.
You're not interested in United at all?
No. Different challenges, because they'll go to Norwich at the weekend and they can't go and play. I mean, Norwich probably will give them a game of football, but what they're going to do, sit back and cede possession to Norwich and try and hit them on the break? But it's not playing Liverpool. It's a different game. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Norwich beat them on Sunday.
Yeah. Ultimately, however much we want to talk about it, there are at least half a dozen options between 7 and 8 million forwards that are better than Rashford, and half a dozen options in midfield from 6 to 7 million that are better than Martial. There's just better options elsewhere, and But I do like the idea of maybe getting one of the two as a differential because of the way the cookie's crumbling this season with.
I would say if you're feeling sexy and you're one of these who follows the fixtures, whether you're sexy or not, and you're very happy with 8 or 9 members of your squad, which I'm currently not, yes, I think you can consider a gamble on Rashford.
I do like Marcus Rashford.
He was livelier yesterday, but I think that with the split forwards that they played, particularly in the first half, really suits him. We saw that in the games in January when they won at Wembley and when they won at Arsenal in the FA Cup as well.
Yeah,
when it was kind of more with Lukaku, but that I think it was with Martial maybe at Wembley.
Yeah,
that split forwards is a position that's perfect for him. They're only going to play that in games where they're playing stronger opposition.
Should we do some Twitter questions?
Liverpool weren't that bad, by the way.
No, Liverpool weren't, and especially second half. I think
I think they weren't at their best, but I think, like, on a different day, Ronaldo and Fabinho were really dominating early on, and if they'd scored early, they would have won comfortably, and there wouldn't have been any questions asked. I think it's actually a good result for Liverpool in the end to get something out of it. By the way, the amount of people who must be giving out free BJs and stuff, free tattoos and stuff on Twitter for saying what they were going to do if Adam Lallana scored.
Yeah, I saw.
There's so many people were like, this guy's useless, he won't do anything. Adam Lallana can come play for my football team because he's a good footballer.
I agree with you on that. Let's answer some Twitter questions because there's a few that I'm interested in. Quite a lot are directed at you, but no surprise because you put the tweet out. Jimmy Mac and Cheese, he wants to know if you've increased your life insurance cover.
What for?
Because after watching Spurs and the VAR experience, he's just worried that you're going to have a heart attack one of these days and drop down dead.
Listen, Jimmy, I made it through the man. I was at the Etihad. I was in the Johan Cruyff Arena. I made it through those 2 nights, and I'm still alive. So I think I'll be
so far so good.
I think I'll be here for a while yet.
A question also coming in from where is it? I want your opinion on this from Shark on Shark FPL. Heung Min Son replacement. He's 9.7 million, so pretty much anywhere.
De Bruyne.
If you can get to him. If De Bruyne's got such high ownership, a lot of people have.
If you've already got him, clone him.
Copy paste.
Son, that value's awkward. You've got to see that as well. Like Son and Pepe in that value. We obviously don't know what Pepe's done tonight yet. But if they're not firing as well, it's only going to lead to more investment in De Bruyne in and around that value. I mean, he's kind of going beyond them now. But Son's what's 9.8 currently?
9,
it will
7,
drop.
9.8, yeah.
Drop to 9.7. I would have thought before the weekend.
Who are you playing?
I would be very tempted if you're a Son owner. I'd be very tempted to go down to Callum Hudson-Odoi and then reassess.
I've got a question here which I can give an opinion on. Sizzlers, you can give an opinion on as well, at FPL SMR. Haller, Sebastian Haller. Do we persist ahead of 2 on paper only easy home games?
That's for you to answer, isn't it?
No, we don't persist. In
my opinion,
we don't persist. Yeah, I don't
That's
think
wrong
so.
now, though, isn't it?
Well, look,
scored against Palace.
It's hard because it's a decision made off the back of such a poor performance. But he was so isolated and so deep, and those 2 things, he's ineffective at that point. So you would expect better performances from these 2 home games, but I don't know. I can't recommend him based on what I've seen.
No, I wouldn't sell him either, though.
Well,
I wouldn't go and buy him
value,
now.
Though.
We get obsessed with that.
Yeah.
We get obsessed with selling people before good fixtures. You've got 2 good home games.
Yeah.
Keep him.
Well, I don't know if this helps on the fixtures. I'm keeping Yarmolenko before the 2. So, yeah, from a fixtures point of view, you would keep him. I wouldn't argue that Yarmolenko's form's particularly better than Haller's. They're probably pretty similar.
Like, if you were on, to be honest, say you wanted Son, for example, I'd say Yarmolenko's a shout. If you wanted a strategy where you got off Son for the 2 away games in Merseyside and then wanted to dive back on, then there are worse cases than looking at Yarmolenko. Even that, like Haller for the 2 home games and then back from Kane if you wanted to. It's not what I advise, but you can do it. I don't think selling West Ham talent now is right.
No.
You've had a bad day. You might react positively. You probably won't because you're fucking inconsistent. And you probably won't win till you play us in game week 13.
True. Mad Child. Oh, I shouldn't have shouted like that, should I?
You're going to scare a few people. He's going to have to
How
fucking
are you,
edit that
Mad
now.
Child?
I'm well.
Congratulations for getting more than 30 points this weekend, which is above average.
Yes, mate.
Above average.
Jimenez scored a goal.
The cartel are back.
Chris Wood scored a goal.
You're telling me I got Wood this
Raheem Sterling got you an assist.
Ah,
Nathan Ake got you a clean sheet and
that's okay.
bonus
That's
points.
okay.
He's got Michael Keane to come in off the bench for 7 points. That'll take him up to
He's smashing it.
39 points.
He's going to get another 5 because he captains Salah. He's got Sterling Vice.
Okay, so he's due for another
He's got at least another 12.
12 points. That's it. That's all he's going to get because James is injured and
He's
Greenwood
finishing
don't
about
play.
42.
42.
44.
No, 44 points.
That's all right this week,
That
mate.
will be all right, man, child. 44 points.
I might treat
You'd-
myself with one of those beers I was sent.
We'll talk about that. You've beaten both James and I this week. Unless Aubameyang gets a hat trick, you've beaten both James and I this week. So I salute you.
Well done, mate. Next cue, please. Sid.
I'm so proud of myself for reason I don't know.
I love that we sit here in silence and most of the listeners probably can't hear a thing he's saying.
No, that's true because the mic's not on. Ranchard was just saying how proud he was of himself, but he doesn't know what he did. Neil Murray at Ronaldinho. Neil, hope you're well.
Fred.
No, the question is not a thread. It's just a question.
Okay.
But next time, Neil, we'd like a 3-part question in a thread. No, probably too long. Rather than look to upgrade Pookie to Jimenez or Wilson, would it actually be worth looking to downgrade him to Ings or Mope, which is something we've spoken about?
Yeah.
You got to think what you're going to do with the money.
I think Morpay's a 2-week punt, isn't it? I think Ings, it's the wrong 2 weeks, and he's probably the answer on the other side. I'm probably going to hold Pookie this weekend, and kind of for the reasons that I've kind of already discussed about Man United, and it's a non-fear over them. And look, Ramsdale made a good save from Pookie at the weekend. He'd scored for Finland in the break. I don't think he's suddenly gone to shit. I just think Norwich had a bad period, and they got progressively better the longer that game went on at the weekend. I think to come down those reasonable, it just feels, I don't know. Personally, I think I'm going to end up with Abraham, Vardy and Connolly.
As your front three.
I think so. And Connolly...
With one eye still on Aguero.
I think if I go that way, that's it. I've got to stick with it. And then I'll probably be working to come off the Liverpool back three. Mm-hmm. To sell Matip to allow me to then, that's the reinvestment of funds to go to Mane then. Or Salah. Because the more Salah blanks, the more I'll be likely to get him in. I know how this game works, you know.
FPL Crate Digger. This is our final question of the day, of the episode. Because actually we're recording more. FPL Crate Digger.
Yep.
Why do we do it to ourselves, Rads? It's quite a broad question, but I thought I'd ask it because... I don't know. Did it affect your mood at the weekend?
Spurs did.
Yeah, I started off with that West Ham performance, followed by a lack of FPL points all afternoon.
We spoke about this with Tom and Nick, didn't we? When I kind of put it to them, like, would you rather your team won the league? It's not a criticism of the lads. Like, they would rather win FPL. I'd rather see my team win the League Cup than win FPL. In fact, I'd rather just see my team win a fucking game of football at the moment. Yeah. I'm quite depressed about it. It feels like it's been a fucking while. The only thing that affects my mood at a weekend is Spurs. So,
well, yeah, my Saturday was not great because obviously Everton and West Ham being the early game, and then not a single return until the 5:30 game when Edison got me a clean sheet. But with Edison's clean sheet, I had a no-show from Otamendi and Mahrez to go with it, so it didn't really feel like anything.
You ended up with 10, didn't you?
I will end up with 10 at the end of today because Great Greenwood didn't get on and get any minutes, and Kelly was injured as well. So, and then I only picked up the one return yesterday with Robertson, so 2 returns so far. I just think now you can't, you just can't take it too seriously. It's a bit of fun.
No, I get it, and it's also
in different
when
ways.
we say that. No one. I know that a lot of people obviously invest kind of financially in cash leagues and stuff. So for some people, it is more than just a game. Like, I think, like, the regular listeners will notice, we don't treat ourselves too seriously. So, you know, nobody's given me the comment yet to go, why should I listen to you? Your rank is shit or whatever. Because I would just laugh anyway. Yeah. It wouldn't bother me. There's a lot of people with bad ranks at the moment. I don't think I'm one of them. But then I hear other people in other pods who are like 200k above me and they're like, my rank's shit. And I think, oh, fucking hell, calm down. There's ages to go yet this season. So, no, I think in terms of FPL, the tip I can give in terms of why do we do it and all that is when the game week starts, can you ask yourself, it's a little bit like leaving the pitch, have you given your all? When that game week starts, have you made the right decision before you know the outcomes? And if you can ask yourself at that stage that you believe you've made the right decision, then it will be what it will be. And VAR will take care of the rest.
Yep, very true. There we go. That's the Game Week 9 review. We've had to record early this week because you have Champions League tomorrow.
Won't have much more of that. We won't be recording on Thursday night soon.
No,
mind you, we might not even finish third in this fucking group.
Oh, this is looking tricky. So yeah, we've got Champions League tomorrow.
Spoiler.
Spoil away.
Sorry. Spurs win the Champions League this year.
You think so? You know, did you hear? Do you know Amazon have changed the name of the documentary?
They picked a good fucking season, haven't they?
They've stopped calling it All or Nothing. They're just calling it Nothing now.
Yeah, but there's a shock. I've not heard that one before. Says the West Ham fan.
Oh well, look, I'm quite looking forward to this documentary. I don't reckon they're going to be getting a lot behind the scenes, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think they're being allowed to film fuck all, mate.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, you know what, get out of here, mate, and not having none of it. Your South team's done well, 21 points. I'm sitting on 21 points, but you've got Aubameyang and Pepe to play, so you might close a few points today. It might be down to less than 20 points. Why are we talking
about that now?
I just thought I'd mention it before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, I'm gaining you on this slightly.
Yeah, slow. I rolled my Did you make any transfers in the end last week?
For that,
yeah,
I went Allaire to Abraham.
Yeah, I didn't make transfers, so I've got 2 this week that I can move. Might even take a couple of hits. Let's see what we do.
I might even bump Kane out of that team.
Yeah, true. Wow.
It's not his fault and it's not Son's fault, by the way. I mean, Son only played second half and nearly scored straight away on Saturday.
He did change it for you, right? He was better?
Oh, of course we're going to be a better team with Sonny on the
And why do you recommend
pitch.
getting rid of him?
Because we're fucking Liverpool away on Sunday.
Okay, fair play. I'll take that.
By the way, just an interesting one in terms of tactically on Sunday, and you won't hear me say this ever again, I wouldn't start Harry Kane on Sunday.
Okay.
I would play Son and Lucas up front.
Yeah. Interesting. It would definitely change the dynamic of the team and give Liverpool something different to think about. Guys, thanks for listening to episode whatever it is for Planet FPL.
He will start, by the way.
Is it
just
15?
To clarify, Harry Kane always starts. This was series 3, episode 15.
Wow, fantastic.
I don't know what that is in terms of Planet FPL episodes. 170, 80
it's more,
podcasts. Mate. Once you add in all the rivals, we're probably on about 300 now. Are we counting? Or?
Have
you actually got a list?
234 pieces of content we've pumped out on audio.
Is that it?
Only 234.
It's fucking shit, isn't it?
Tell me about it. For the 5 listeners, thank you for tuning in and listening, watching on YouTube, whatever it is you do.
It's just the same 5 guys.
Exactly. We'll be back this week. Tottenham tomorrow, a little bit more in depth on Tottenham and West Ham from James and I. We have Sky FF on Wednesday, which I promise you will be a much more positive show because we've both done okay in that. Clash of the Correspondents, FPL Gaffer Ali and FPL Foxy Leicester.
Foxy
FPL Leicester. Well, it depends whether you're talking about his name or his handle.
His handle and his name are different, and I told him 4 months ago to change that.
It's confusing. And the final plan on Friday, where we'll run down everything to do with our final teams before game week 10.
You can find out how badly I put a sledgehammer through my squad.
Yes,
but that's not out of anger. It's because I know it's the right time to change, and I knew I was changing it because of Kane before this weekend.
Cool. Do you know what I said we'd do at the start of the show, and it's just turned 7 o'clock. Shall we do it? Let's have a quick butchers at the team. Oh, it's not here.
Oh, you're good, aren't you?
Here we go. Sheffield United v Arsenal.
Right, spoiler. Sheffield United are winning 1-0 and Lundstrom scoring. That's your spoiler.
They haven't announced the lineups yet, so there we go. Just go on Google. Ciao for now.
You're so strange. Cue music, man, child.
The Fantasy Football Show.